Good morning. Thank you for attending this service, for joining us for this service that we're recording here for the Pasadena Buddhist Temple to be broadcast on January 30th. We're here, the vaccinated and the production crew. And we will ask you to join us in the chanting of the Juseige. I will then read the 6 Paramitas as a devotional reading. And we'll sing Ondoku-san, and as Kyoko and Alan are a good 25, 30 feet from me, I'll lose the mask shortly here. Thank you for joining us. Again, we're going to chant Juseige. Busetsu Daimuryo Jukyo Juseige Gagon Shotegan Hishimu Jodo Shiganfu Mandoku Te Fujo Shogak Gao Muryoko Hu Indai Seishu Hu Taisho Bingu Te Fujo Shogaku Ga Shijo Butendo Myotyocho Jippo Kukyo Mishomon Te Fujo Shogaku Ryokujin Shonen Joeishu Bongyo Shigumu Jodo Isho Tenninshi Jinriki en Daiko Hushomu Taido Shoujo San Kumyo Kotai Shu Yakunan Kaiichi Egen Meshi Kon Moan He Sokusho Akudo Turaten Den Shumon Kosojo Mandoku Ioro Jippo Nichigaten Shujuki Tenko Onhugen Ishu Kai Hodo Koseku Doku Hojo Odai Shuchu Seppo Shishiku Kuyo Itaya Butengu Sokushu Tokuhon Kaneshten Yoman Toku Isangayo Nyobuten Mugechi Tudaten Mi Husho Gangaku Erikitoshi Sai Shoson Shiganya Koka Daisen no Kondo Koku Sho Tenin To Chinmyoke Namandabu, 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 Namandabu. Ganniya Shikudoku, Byodo Sei Isai, Don Modai Shin Ojo. On la koku. Namanda Buddhamanda, Namanda 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 Buddhamanda, Namamita Butsu, Namada Butsu, Namita Butsu, Namada Butsu. I will then do the devotional reading followed by the song. And our devotional reading today will be the 6 Paramitas, which if you have the OCBC book, will be on page 11. And I believe Alan and Kathy will have it up on the screen for you guys. So if you would, join me for the 6 Paramitas, the perfections of Buddhist living. Dana, giving. May I be generous and helpful. Shila, guidance. May I be guided by the Buddhist precepts. Kshanti, tolerance. May I regard the mistakes of others with sympathy. Virya, perseverance. May I do my best in all things. Dhyana, meditation. May I reflect deeply on my life through the Buddha's teachings. Prajna, insight. May I understand the meaning of Namo Amida Butsu. Namada Butsu, Namada Butsu, Namada Butsu. Thank you, and now we're going to have a surprise. Either Kathy is going to be able to dub in a better version of the singing of Ondoku-san, or I'm going to do it here. And Ondoku-san, a poem by Shinran, put to music by Yasuo Sawa. Nyorai dai hi no 音読は身を粉にしてもほずべし。詩集知識の音読も骨を砕きてもしゃすべし。ナモミラ仏、ナモナ仏、ナモアミラ仏、ナマンダ仏、ナモミラ仏、ナモナ仏、ナモミラ仏、ナモナ仏、ナモミラ仏。Well, thank you again for joining us. Have a title for this Dharma message. This Dharma message is titled Rebirth into an Ocean of Light. Kind of a fancy title, huh? Rebirth into an Ocean of Light, and we are here still outside. I thank Alan Goto and Kyoko Okura Gibbs for being here with me and preparing the porch area here and Alan recording, and then Kathy Kumagai at home putting it all together into some sort of order that you will see. We're preparing this service and Dharma talk for the Pasadena Buddhist Temple for January 30th of 2022. We're recording here on the 27th. We're here on the 27th of January recording for the 30th of January, but you can watch this again on YouTube as many times as you want, if you like. There again is our title today the title of our Dharma talk this morning is Rebirth into an Ocean of Light. Now I've been using this model of awoken living as being in the light quite a bit this month, and understanding Buddhahood as illumination is very traditional and appropriate. And this is what we're presenting here today. Our production crew, Kyoko, Alan, and I, out here, the few, the vaccinated, the production crew. We hope that our temple grounds, our garden, our temple building, Sakai Hall, our annex, will be open, along with our restrooms, will be open to the public soon. But right now we're still closed to the public, and we have production crew only here. Part of enjoying our participation in a religion or even in a hobby involves getting used to the language of the tradition. So I will continue to try to help assimilate you, to acclimate you to the language of attaining Buddhahood as the language of light. I will continue to immerse myself in imagery of light. This deliberate emphasis on images of illumination is something I've been doing for 28 to 30 years, 7 of them here. I'm in my 8th year here now, starting my 8th year here. However, this term rebirth is also very important in Mahayana Buddhism, and I've not used it nearly as often as you've heard me speak of. For example, you've heard me speak about the Buddha's healing light. You've heard me speak about the soothing light of the Dharma. I have spoken of the nurturing light of Amida, the transforming illumination of the Buddha, etc., 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 over these 7 years going on 8 with you. But since I have not spoken with you often about the term rebirth, I will today, although rather briefly. I will speak with you about the concept of rebirth today, rebirth only rather briefly in part because there's an LA Rams game at 12:30. And some of you are going to have to get back to your TVs to see that or your computers. I will continue to speak about rebirth, but only briefly in part because there's only so much I understand about this. There's only so much I can share with you about rebirth. We do not affirm reincarnation in the Buddhist tradition. I will speak rather about rebirth, renewal, restarting, regrooving, but not much about reincarnation. Rebirth, the rebirth that all legitimate schools of Buddhism speak about, may seem to some only slightly different from the concept of reincarnation. But Buddhist Dharma teachers, monks, nuns, priests, ministers, scholars, we all see it as vastly different idea. We'll be reborn at the end of this life. We're not going to be reincarnated. The reason that Buddhists don't use that term that Hindus and Pythagoreans use, reincarnation, is that it presupposes a theory of a separate essence of one's identity called, in English, a soul. The soul takes flesh. Reincarnation is taking carne again. If you go to the Spanish-speaking parts of town, you know what carne is. It's the meat market. It means taking flesh again, taking But we always are this. We always are this biological personhood. So we don't just step out of this body and go take another one. That's a Hindu idea, not a Buddhist idea. We are not, as subjectivities, as persons, so easily or completely separable from our bodies as the reincarnation idea suggests. So I'll retell here an anecdote from my own life that I've told a lot of you in person, but I don't think I've mentioned this in the Dharma messages before. Last year, I have a little bit of heart trouble. I was under a lot of stress 8 years ago. I have a tachycardia, high blood pressure, and I did a treadmill test last year. And as I'm doing the treadmill, the cardiologist is kind of amused, and he walks up and stands next to the treadmill after I've been going for some time, and he says to me, a normal person would be about 190 beats per minute now. And an athlete we'd expect to be at about 160 beats per minute about now. You're at 52. I was at 52, what exercise that should have pushed me up to 190. And that's my body, right? But I have that kind of personality too. Because this is the body that is me. This body tends to be kind of slow and steady. That's kind of who I am. My body determines my personality. Purusha in Sanskrit, your personality, your personhood. My body is this way. It makes me the sort of individual I am, the Pudgala, this kind of individual, slow and steady. There's still time. Go at an even pace. That's what my body is, and that's what my personality is. Now, I do believe in rebirth after biological death, but that rebirth is something new following the end of this life. Something brand new. That rebirth is rebirth into an ocean of light. Within that ocean of light, we find our mothers, our friends, our deceased life partners. We find them quite concretely. We genuinely encounter again those whom we've lost. We will actually communicate with them by being born into an ocean of light. Reincarnation is a fantasy. Rebirth is a fact. We will be reborn into an ocean of light at the moment of death. We can discover a renewal taking place in our lives even now, though. Rebirth is at the end of this life. Renewal, regrooving, that can happen right now. The rebirth occurs only once at the end of this biological life, but renewal can take place many times within our current lives. We can work to regroove our lives even now. We can change some of our habits. We can lay down new patterns in our lives. We can walk more. We can stop overeating. We can initiate an exercise program. Or if you have an exercise program, add one exercise to your existing exercise program this month. We can do this kind of renewal, this kind of regrooving. Indeed, rebirth, a brand new life, opening out into an ocean of light in which we meet everyone we've separated from. Rebirth is in the future. Rebirth is at the end of this biological life. Arranging it is not our job. Making sure it will happen is not our problem. It's the Buddha's problem. They will take care of it. Regrooving our lives now is our job. Some kinds of renewal turn out to be easier than we thought. 5 years ago, I lost more than 40 pounds. Actually, as of today, it's about 50 pounds. I just started eating less, For me, it was simple. For some of you, it might not be that simple. But you don't know until you try, do you? I just put up with being overweight for 30 years. And then one time, we went on vacation, our spring break with the boys, and we drove from L.A. to Pasadena to Portland, and we stopped along the way and ate and watched TV and watched movies. And I put on some weight, and when I got back to Pasadena, I weighed 218.6 pounds. And I go, oh no, that's not who I am. So I just stopped eating so much, and it took me 10 months to lose 40 pounds. And they've never come back all these 4 years. I'm not saying it's going to be that easy for everyone, but that's something I just didn't try. I didn't try regrooving my eating patterns, and when I did, it worked really well. A bit before I started eating less and lost about 50 pounds, I started resistance training. Not weights, because you can drop those on your foot. Not weights, but portable devices. The Porta-Gym, those rubber bands. The Exergenie, if you don't know what that machine is, I'll show it to you. So I started using these about 9 years ago. About 9 years ago, I started doing this resistance training. And just about 8 months ago, I got greedy. And I put too much weight, and I hurt the heck out of my back. And I had to cut way back on my exercise for 8 months. So I'm just, right now, at about 2/3 to 3/4 of the resistance I used to do 8 months ago. Because I got greedy. I pushed too hard. I kept increasing until I strained my back. So then I had to cut way back, and here 8 months later, I'm just starting to get back near where I was, 2/3, 3/4 maybe of the difficulty that I address in my resistance training. Some of you might have a lot easier time with that than I do. You don't know until you try what kind of regrooving or renewal that may turn out to be quite doable for you. A guy from another temple contacted me about dealing with addiction to tobacco and alcohol. I told him the truth, that the only people I ever knew who quit tobacco 2 ways. One is self-hypnosis, a couple guys I know that worked for, and the other way is just cold turkey, like my father. Just stop. You just stop, and when you want it, you just don't give it to yourself. So I didn't have much advice for him, but it is very important. There's nothing more important than stopping smoking if you are smoking. At the ministers' meeting, there used to be this little group, Reverend Thompson, she's still with us. Reverend Fuji, he died 4 years ago. Reverend Hayashi, he died 7 years ago, at the age of, 48. Reverend Hanayama, he passed away 4 years ago. There's a real pattern here. My colleagues who are about my age or even older are still quite well, the ones who don't smoke. So stopping smoking is very important. But how you do it, I don't know. You have to find out for yourself. I have no advice for you. That's our job. Losing weight, getting in shape, living wholesome lives, regrooving, that's our job. Rebirth is the Buddha's job. They will take care of it for us. Rebirth and our eventual enlightenment is in the realm of the Buddha. If you feel genuine trust in the Buddha's promise, if you can hear Namo Amida Butsu as the healing call that comes from the depths of reality, then it'll be easier to regroove this life a bit. It'll be easier to engage deliberately in renewal, to decrease overeating, increase exercise within safe limits, study music, painting, sculpture. There's so much we can do. So I told some of you, about 2 years ago, I taught myself to enjoy New Orleans jazz. I had disliked that tradition for, 70 years? And I just learned to listen to it differently, and I quite enjoy it now. We got to regroove. We got to renew. We got to start up. We don't have to turn ourselves into Buddhas. The Buddha does that for us. As James Joyce advised his final protagonist, Finnegan, begin again. Indeed, begin again, Finnegan. Begin again, Greg. Begin again, Alan. Begin again, Kyoko. Begin again, Kathy. May we all begin again every day. May we go through this renewal and regrooving every day. May we restart every day. May every day be a time for renewal until that day in the distant future when rebirth comes. Rebirth in an ocean of light through the power of the Buddha. In closing, please join me in Gasho and in saying the Buddha's name a few times. We rely upon the source of limitless wisdom and endless life. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda 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 Butsu, Namanda Butsu. Thank you very much.